Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Where is my sound, folks? There we go. There we go. All right. I think we've got it. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good. How are my people doing? Sorry for the little mishap. Just a reset of these wireless headphones, and it worked. Anyway, welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. Let's see who started out today. El Señor AVQ, Michael Rudnin from Brooklyn, New York. Welcome aboard. Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. We have Moz Maniac says, hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday, Moz Maniac. I think you're from Houston. Lisa Blair, hello from Atlanta, Georgia. Michael Rudnin says, having a bit of a busy day, listening in from away. Listen away, my brother. We also have in the house Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia. We have in the house, Farabed, Eric from Atascocita, Kingwood. In the house, Lita Bearcat from Austin, Texas. My CSAC from Missouri. We also have on the other side, Paula Partridge, Susan Catherine Lowry, Peggy Swenson, welcome aboard. Lois Rollins, Gayla Glowney, ING Decadence. I love that name. Decadence. Tammy, Tom, Marge KJ, Kat, FemK. Welcome aboard, folks. We missed the first few on the thing here. Anyway, how's everybody doing? I trust everybody had a good weekend. Let's see, Egberto, one for the screen. He has already people. Michael Rudnin has started with one. Oh, yeah, I think that's a good one. Let me go ahead and pull that out. I'm glad you pulled that one out. Let me see if I can get that onto the screen. Let's go ahead and do that. All right. Here we go. Where is it? Here we go. All right.
That the way to prosperity for all nations throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. Now, there are sound historical reasons for this. For those of us who lived through the Great Depression, the memory of the suffering it caused is deep and searing. And today, many economic analysts and historians argue that high tariff legislation passed back in that period, called the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, greatly deepened the Depression and prevented economic recovery. You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity. Throughout
All right, so I want to explain something to everybody here, okay? Tariffs are not all bad, okay? And let me qualify this. Reagan is partially right, but he's not completely right. Let me give an example. If you are going to manufacture something in Vietnam, and I'm going to go under past assumptions, and Vietnam, the people in Vietnam, they don't have to worry about environmental protections. They don't have to worry about labor laws protecting the children from working and all those things. That is, in fact, an unfair advantage to the American worker, and that does warrant a tariff, right? In other words, you have to figure out how to compensate for what they are doing that to bring their costs down that makes you uncompetitive. There's a good reason for tariffs in such a scenario. But that isn't what Reagan, in as much as Reagan is right there, and you would think that Donald Trump wants to listen to what Reagan is saying there. Here is the kick. Whoa, come on, come on.
Is also asking.
Let me get out of here. Here is the kicker, folks, and I want people to understand this. What we got was a different kind of resulting for tariffs. Because what corporations did is they prostituted the American worker. They prostituted the American worker. What they did is they took all of or figuratively all of manufacturing overseas from the inputs all the way up the line. So therefore, it didn't matter if these people had an unfair advantage or not. America just wanted cheap labor at all cost. And let me give an example of what that means. Donald Trump claims he's putting on tariffs to bring back manufacturing to the United States. So he puts tariffs on cars, but the pieces and parts that make cars, we don't have the equipment, all the pieces that is, we don't have the equipment in the United States to do it. So you would think, I'm not going to use cars as an example because I don't have the bill of materials for cars is huge. Let's go with textiles, right? Let's go with textiles. In the Northeast, or I should say the South, North Carolina, South Carolina, and all these other areas, they were big in manufacturing textiles. So therefore, all your cotton that was made in the United States could have been spun into cloth and textiles here in the United States from equipment made in the United States. Well, what did our corporate structure do? They took all the manufacturing for cloth overseas because they could do it cheaply. They export our cotton, and sometimes they get cotton or other materials cheaper over there, and then brought it back into the country. And then you got the Walmart selling things for $1 or $2, or rather, Walmart buying from China at $1 or $2, selling it for $10 here. Their markups from China was huge. This was a corporate coup on the American worker. So the mechanics for tariffs are really prostituting the American worker. So here's the deal now. He claims he wants to bring American manufacturing back, so he imposes tariffs on just about everything. Check this out though. Because we sent textiles overseas, there was no reason to manufacture textiles machines in the United States. So to repair people who repair textile machines, the people who made parts for textile machines, and all these other sectors disappeared. And now to have them reappear, what you would have to say is the following. We can impose tariffs on textiles to make the prices high enough that people in America would want to make textiles here in the States. But to do that, since we don't have anybody manufacturing textile machines, you now need to make sure that on importation of textile machines, you do not have tariffs on those because, again, those are input costs. And what you want to do is to create that economy here. So you start out by not messing with the inputs of the underlying product you want to start. And then as you go on to rebuild your manufacturing sector, you adjust tariffs as necessary. But Donald Trump is not doing any of that. Donald Trump just wanted to impose a tax on the American people without saying outrightly that we are going to charge a tax to the American people to pay for the deficit created by donating your money to the wealthy. And until we understand those concepts, if you listen to my brother Tom Hartman, he has some good pointers on this as well. So tariffs are not all bad, but the way it's implemented by Donald Trump is bad. The way Reagan talks about it, even though what he's saying, the underlying message is true. What he did and what Republicans did and liberal Democrats did with NAFTA and all these other concepts of free trade, they sold out the American worker. And now, again, with these tariffs, they're selling them out one more time because manufacturing is not coming back. When Donald Trump went into office the first time and he threw his tariffs on, he kept 9,000 steel jobs, but he lost 65 to 90,000 other manufacturing jobs. And the same thing is occurring on steroids right now. So unless we understand these concepts on tariffs are not all bad. You have to equalize the playing field if you have a country that's screwing you over. That's true. But that isn't the underlying issue today. And until we learn that, we're going to be in trouble. All right, welcome aboard. I see who else is in the house. Who else is in the house? Para ver. Why did Canada pull ad? The Prime Minister Martin of Canada asked I think it's the Minister of, was it Ontario, to pull the ad after it was successful. It was a very successful ad. Very successful ad. And that was not fake news at all. Reagan said that when he was going to impose tariffs on Japan. And he wanted people to know the reasons. He told people about the dangers of tariffs and why in the case of Japan, they needed to apply tariffs because Japan's market was completely closed as Japan was selling all kinds of stuff to us back in the 80s. Again, look, we know all this stuff, Lee the Bearcat. Try to read a little bit on this stuff before you call what Canada did fake news. Try to learn before you jump and listen to the right wing, because the right wing makes one stupid. Remember that. Always remember, the right wing makes one stupid. You're a very smart person, but if you follow their talking points, you make yourself stupid. That's just a statement of fact. If I got to hear from Reagan again, I'll throw up, says Real Spree. I hear you, Real Spree. What else have we got here? ICE agent points gun at 2 community members on Saturday, 10/25 in Santa Ana, California. This agent has become a regular recognized local terrorist who tapes up their licenses plates number to avoid detection. What you need to do, somebody, is keep him distracted. Go take that that tape on and take a copy of it. Yeah, those are people I'm not going to give advice right here. Welcome aboard, Anthony LaFranco from Laguna Beach. How you doing? Michael Rodney says, I've said this before. The way to do tariffs correctly is to recognize that your own people pay the tariffs and keep them low, 2% blanket, 5% targeted, so the people don't even notice a slight increase in cost while preventing starting a trade war then focus the whole of tariff. Yeah, but even that, Michael, you have to be more careful with that because again, let's look at shrimp, right? If these guys are selling shrimp from polluted waters or whatever, you have to make tariffs in such a manner that it offsets the it offsets the benefits on the others. It's not to raise money. Ideally, it's simply to make the market fair. Let's see, Egberto, why aren't you playing the rest of the video of Reagan? Uh, why else would I want to pay the rest of the video? That accurately depicts what Reagan has been saying for decades. Mike Cisak, your guy is a clown. I'm sorry you can't see it. Mike Cisak wants the whole video. Okay. Oh Lord. All right. I'll give it to you. Let's go ahead and do it let's go ahead and do it just so they don't get a chance to say we were pulling a fast one. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Americans, Prime Minister Nakasone of Japan will be visiting me here at the White House next week. It's an important visit because while I expect to take up our relations with our good friend Japan, which overall remain excellent, recent disagreements between our two countries on the issue of trade will also be high on our agenda. As perhaps you've heard, last week I placed new duties on some Japanese products in response to Japan's inability to enforce their trade agreement with us on electronic devices called semiconductors. Now, imposing such tariffs or trade barriers and restrictions of any kind are steps that I am loath to take, and in a moment I'll mention the sound economic reasons for this, that over the long run such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. But the Japanese semiconductors were a special case. We had clear evidence that Japanese companies were engaging in unfair trade practices that violated an agreement between Japan and the United States. We expect our trading partners to live up to their agreements. As I've often said, our commitment to free trade is also a commitment to fair trade. But you know, in imposing these tariffs, we were just trying to deal with a particular problem, not begin a trade war. So next week, I'll be giving Prime Minister Nakasone this same message. We want to continue to work cooperatively on trade problems and want very much to lift these trade restrictions as soon as evidence permits. We want to do this because we feel both Japan and the United States have an obligation to promote the prosperity and economic development that only free trade can bring. Now, that message of free trade is one I conveyed to Canada's leaders a few weeks ago, and it was warmly received there. Indeed, throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. Now, there are sound historical reasons for this. For those of us who lived through the Great Depression, the memory of the suffering it caused is deep and searing. And today, many economic analysts and historians argue that high tariff legislation passed back in that period, called the Smoot-Hawley Tariff, greatly deepened the Depression and prevented economic recovery. You see, at first, when someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. What eventually occurs is, first, homegrown industries start relying on government protection in the form of high tariffs. They stop competing and stop making the innovative management and technological changes they need to succeed in world markets. And then, while all this is going on, something even worse occurs. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. The result is more and more tariffs, higher and higher trade barriers, and less competition. So soon, because of the prices made artificially high by tariffs that subsidize inefficiency and poor management, people stop buying. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. The memory of all this occurring back in the 30s made me determined when I came to Washington to spare the American people the protectionist legislation that destroys prosperity. Now, it hasn't always been easy. There are those in the Congress, just as there were back in the 30s, who want to go for the quick political advantage, who risk America's prosperity for the sake of a short-term appeal to some special interest group, who forget that more than 5 million American jobs are directly tied to the foreign export business, and additional millions are tied to imports. Well, I've never forgotten those jobs, and on trade issues, by and large, we've done well. In certain select cases, like the Japanese semiconductors, we've taken steps to stop unfair practices against American products, but we've still maintained our basic long-term commitment to free trade and economic growth. So, with my meeting with Prime Minister Nakasone and the Venice Economic Summit coming up, it's terribly important not to restrict the President's options in such trade dealings with foreign governments. Unfortunately, some in the Congress are trying to do exactly that. I'll keep you informed on this dangerous legislation because it's just another form of protectionism, and I may need your help to stop it. Remember, America's jobs and growth are at stake. Until next week, thanks for listening, and God bless you.
So, Mr. Cisak, that is your answer. You wanted to make it seem like we were hiding something. We were not. Now, that makes you look silly. And the reason it makes you look silly, my brother, is that Donald Trump is doing everything opposing what the guy has said there. Completely opposing. Donald Trump has laid down a 10% tax, a 10% tax across the board on all countries, irrespective. A 10% tariff, it's there. And all the other, whether higher or higher, is negotiable. So they may be higher, but there is a 10% tax across the board. 5 times as much as the average tax, which used to be 2%. So you look silly by trying to imply that somehow this guy's words were misrepresented by Canada. They were very much, it is exactly under the context that Canada used the clip. And the clip that the Canadian government used of Reagan was apropos. It was absolutely apropos again. So let's be clear here. Donald Trump is really is doing nothing more than taxing you, Mike Cisak, my dear brother. He's taxing you. And you are so taken up on being a sycophant for Donald Trump, my dear brother, that you can't see that he's screwing you. He has screwed the farmers. He has screwed the Caribbean. He has screwed the average American citizen. But you guys, many of you are simply so colored in what you think that you cannot see it. But you know what, brother? Little by little, a few of you are coming around. And guess what? We have a landing strip here for you. When you decide to not allow the right wing to play with your mind, when you decide to actually critically think, we'll be right here, ready to embrace you. But until then, I can tell you, you look pretty, and may the rest of our audience say, what does he look like? Anyway, let's continue. I have to my first video. Let's go ahead and play that, and then we'll get together on the other side. Republican political analyst Mark Short went there. He pointed out something. You know, the Republicans like to talk about freedom, democracy, free markets, and all this kind of stuff. But if you listen to what Mark Short had to say, you realize something important. That whenever Republicans leadership accuses the other side of something, it is something that they are actually doing, not the other side. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
I think the bigger issue is going to be heading into the midterms next year and throughout continues to be the trade agenda. I mean, to your interview with Scott Bessent, in 2 weeks, the administration is going to stand in front of the Supreme Court making oral arguments to defend IEEPA, which says that in our national emergency, the president can assess tariffs. What exactly is the national emergency frontier running ads of Ronald Reagan? What is the defense to say that's a national emergency? And how upside down is our world today that a quasi-socialist economy in Canada is running ads as one of America's greatest presidents, extolling the virtues of free trade, and a Republican president is condemning the words of Ronald Reagan and has more central planners in their administration than any Democrat administration in the last 100 years? It's an upside down world that we're living in right now.
And also,
So what's the case here? Canada put an ad on to refute Donald Trump's tariffs. Ronald Reagan hated tariffs, and he also talked about how bad tariffs would destroy economies, etc. We saw what tariffs did in 29, 30, and all these other times, right? But it turns out that the ad that the Canadians used, Donald Trump didn't like, because they claim it misrepresented what Reagan said. It didn't, but they claimed it did. And he's now applying yet another 10% tariff on Canada for using that ad. But let's get real here. All the things that communist countries, notice I didn't say democratic socialist countries or pure socialist countries. Oh, there's no real pure socialist country out there. Notice what the things that Donald Trump complains about are the things generally implemented by communist countries. In other words, a controlled economy on just about every level. That is what Donald Trump is doing, right? He decides who's going to get a high tariff or a low tariff. He decides which farmers are going to get what or when. He decides if he doesn't like you, he'll give you a break. He decides which car company is going to get a break or not. He decides which electronic companies are going to get a break or not. He decides which companies that get taxpayer dollars, the United States government will actually be invested in that company or become shareholders of that company. This is the guy that wants a fully controlled economy, and controlled by whom? Controlled by him. And Mark Short called him out. He said it's an upside world, that it is Donald Trump who is going against all these tenets, not only of free markets, but the tenets of what capitalism proper talks about. Wow, it's amazing, isn't it?
All of our country's problems, from polarization.
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing. The liar in chief. Anyway, Mike Cisak, what do you want to say? And look here, I don't want any bloviating facts. Go ahead, shoot.
Okay. So we used to fund our government, federal government, through tariffs. The way it used to be. Okay.
Your point?
The problem is that, and Reagan outlined this in his speech. He came out and he did the history of tariffs and the misuse of tariffs and keeping tariffs in place, which is the problem that caused the Great Depression to worsen in the United States.
Of course.
The problem that he ran
We said
into.
that.
Okay. All right. So the part that was cut out was that when Reagan started saying, oh, so the problem that he's running into is in Congress is they're wanting to take away his ability to temporarily impose certain tariffs while he is negotiating with the country.
Wait a minute.
That
You're
is-
missing. No. You're missing the point as far as what Canada was
That's
doing.
exactly what Reagan said.
Canada was trying to point the following. Canada was trying to point out
No,
that what
they cut it off.
Mike Cisak.
What they did was Reagan was telling
Mike,
everything bad about tariffs.
Mike,
Shut
when
up.
I speak, you quiet. You be quiet when I speak.
Let
okay?
me finish. Let me finish.
I am not
This
going
is-
to
you
tell
do
you
this
again,
every
or you'll be
single
cut
time.
off. Anyway, here's the deal. Because you're
The
incorrect.
thing is,
Here- all right. Mike Cisak is somebody that can understand. He doesn't have the ability to critically think. The piece that the Canadians put is exactly the piece they wanted to put out there, and that is what tariffs do. And the fact of the matter is, tariffs do exactly what Reagan said it's doing under the context of what the Canadians are speaking about. There was no reason to put tariffs on Canadian softwoods, none whatsoever. He just wanted to raise revenue by throwing a 10% tariffs on. He did it across the board, folks. So don't let the right wing fool you. Donald Trump wanted to raise money on you without calling it a tax. Because remember, all Americans pay tariffs on everything. And tariffs, whenever they say they are applying that tariff to a country, you are paying it. Let's remember that. That's a statement of fact. I am not going to allow any right-wing person to come on here and try to make some sort of an excuse for what is a statement of fact. It is a fact that Americans pay the tariffs, not the other countries. It is a fact that it's a tax on Americans. And it is also a fact that this was not a negotiation tactic. Donald Trump came and applied a baseline of 10% tariffs on every single country in the world. This had nothing to do with whether let's give an example. We don't have a trade deficit with Brazil, yet Brazil got a 25% tariff. No trade deficit with Brazil, and Brazil got a tariff. So it's a lie, and people like Mike Cisak and other right wingers or Trump sycophants don't get it. We're not going to allow that here. We're not going to allow misinformation on this channel, and you should not allow misinformation on any of your channels. I don't block this dude, but this dude here is completely and entirely wrong. Let's go to the second video. This is how we need to deal with all those on the right who decide that they want to lie to you. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's go ahead and do that right this minute. Right now, Democrats should really have this entire populace in its hands, because Republicans are doing such a poor job from managing the economy to managing everything else, the world. We have a president that has gone mad, blowing stuff up in the Caribbean. We have a president that is having ill will towards countries throughout the world by just throwing tariffs on willy-nilly. If you upset me, I throw a tariff on. And by the way, that tariff doesn't even affect the countries. They affect the American people. The American people are the ones who pay that tariff. So somebody upsets him, he puts a tax on the American people. Let's understand what's going on here. Well, there was one woman on the news, on the morning shows yesterday, that said it right. Ashley Etienne. I want you to listen to how she, the phrase that she used in this very short soundbite. This is something every Democrat aligned, every progressive should be using some form of around the country every time they find themselves on air. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
What is the Democratic view, particularly as increasingly polls are showing frustration with both parties over this government shutdown and the question, who's going to blink first here?
I mean, it's interesting. I was watching the secretary and I was asking myself, what world is he living in? He clearly isn't living in the shoes of the American people. I mean, I think the political pitfall for the president right now is this split screen. Here is the emperor building this big, beautiful ballroom. Meanwhile, federal workers are in line and food banks. You've got a situation where the president is trying to shake down DOJ for $230 million of taxpayer money, by the way. And we're suffering from higher grocery costs, electricity costs. He's bailing out Argentina. Meanwhile, our farmers are told to eat cake. That is really what's at play here. And when the Democrats consider the issue of the shutdown, it's not, I don't think they're going to take any responsibility for it. It's the president. He owns it. It's his choice. He can lift it right now and get us out of the shutdown right now if he cared anything about the American people.
Now, that is the way you fight. That is the way you use your entire 30-second segment or whatever to point out a reality to the American people, and you hammer it and you hammer it. Remember, Donald Trump is screwing farmers. Donald Trump is screwing all the population at large with these tariffs. We are paying it. Donald Trump is screwing our own military. When they're blowing stuff up in the Caribbean, there's going to be blowback. Do not believe there's not going to be blowback. I don't care if it's the Caribbean or if it's in the Middle East. There will be blowback when you start just indiscriminately killing folks. And as Senator Ruben Gallego said yesterday, what Donald Trump is doing is in effect effecting murder on the high seas. So again, we have a president that is completely out of control and one that can be reined in, but it's up to you.
All of our country's problems, from polarization to ignorance on domestic and international issues to a complete misunderstanding of our economic.
So yes, folks, it's all up to you, and we do have the power to do so. We have the power to exercise it in about less than 10 days right now when we go to the polls. And first of all, we're going to take Virginia. We're going to take New Jersey. We're going to take many of the get the appropriate constitutional amendment here in Texas and throughout the country. We are going to win all over. We're going to get that bill that California will be able to redistrict, and other states as well will start redistricting. I just found out that Indiana is redistricting to try to give Donald Trump a few more seats. Let me tell you something, and mark my word, all this redistricting that you're seeing occurring right now, I am going to fathom a positivity here for you guys. If we activate all the progressives and Democrats in this country and sensible Republicans, you know what that new gerrymandering is going to do? It's not going to help Republicans. It's going to help Democrats. And let me explain why. The way gerrymandering works is that you try to pack one party in as tight as possible, 90% in a district, if that's how the vote looks like it's going to appear, right? And let's see. May I help you?
Yes, I'd like to say a word or two.
Sure, go ahead.
Something that's right now is happening in the Caribbean, and the United States of America has dozens, tens of thousands of troops. They have ships, landing craft, every available means to do emergency services as a result of Hurricane Melissa that is bearing down on Jamaica today. If the United States does not respond quickly and effectively without regards to the prejudices of this administration, we can make amends on many of the wrongs that we have done in other areas of the world.
You know what
That
is so interesting?
Prayer.
Go ahead, sir.
No, that's my prayer, and I'd like you to comment. But if it doesn't happen, we become the great. I don't know. They have a lot of different things they call us overseas, but once that need is established on Wednesday morning, okay, Wednesday morning, and we don't have all the equipment we have out there right now, we're a sinful nation. Thank you,
You know what?
And
No, wait. Hold on. I want to thank you for something here, brother. I am so enthralled into what's occurring here. I mentioned the hurricane on my show this morning. I also mentioned about the boats that we have all the military down there blowing stuff up. I never
everything.
That's why I always say we have the smartest callers and the smartest listeners. I never tied the two together like you just did, which I think is important.
The only thing we don't have right now is a hospital ship.
Right, but let me tell you, the carrier is a hospital.
Helicopter.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes, you're correct.
Land
Let me tell you, brother.
Everything.
Let me tell you, the flotilla that's on its way right now to the Caribbean should be there right after the hurricane. You are correct. And they should be ready to provide service like no other to Jamaica, who will be suffering a catastrophe like no other. And if
Exactly.
they do
And
not,
what's going to happen, we're not going to do anything. And that's, I mean, I would hope that these MAGA, I don't know, you mentioned some of their names, but I don't say names. That's, but I would just, Republicans, I'll say that word, withdrawing all that money from all the UN, withdrawing all international aid, closing down USAID. Come on,
right.
man.
You know something? Again, that very good.
Thank you.
Let me tell you, but that was a thank you, buddy. Have a good one, Michael. That was a damn good. That was a damn good point. We're going to have an aircraft carrier with a whole bunch of supporting ships there. We should be able to be ready to aid Jamaica, which is going to take a blow like no other tomorrow. We should be ready to do that. All right, let me go ahead. Let me go back to gerrymandering as I was speaking about. Thank you for that, Michael. Let me talk about gerrymandering. So here's it. They pack 90% Native Democrats into a district, and then what that does is allow all the other drawn district to have a smaller percentage of Democrats, and they overpower the others with Republicans, right? You can even draw a district. You can actually draw a state that is a slightly majority Republican, slightly majority Democrat, and come out with mostly Republican seats. It can be done. I think it was done in Louisiana at some time. Now, here's the deal, though. There are a lot of things that people don't take into account. One, in a lot of these areas where they're gerrymandering Democrats out of existence, there is low Democratic turnout because Democrats feel, what's the point in voting? So what the rolls tell them is the percentage of Republicans that normally vote. Well, what's going to get them in quite a few districts? Because whereas to get certainty, you probably need to have something like a 20-point advantage. Because right here, John Rosenthal, when they redistricted here, because of turnout, he turned a plus 10 Republican district into a plus 2 Democratic district right here in Texas. So I'm telling them, go ahead and gerrymander. Allow them to continue, because here's the thing. It is likely to be a Democratic year because that's just how things turn out. You were likely to lose seats. But now that you're diluting your own Republican seats, you are likely to put Republican seats in play that shouldn't be in play. And that is what the Florida governor said. That's what the North Carolina governor, all these guys, because they weren't interested in redistricting. Not even Texas was interested in redistricting because they know that all of these districts were more, if you try to get more out of it, it's going to be marginal because there are simply more Democrats than Republicans. There are simply more Democrats than Republicans. In places that determine that, more Democrats than Republicans. Democrats just don't vote like Republicans. So I say, I am telling people, don't worry about gerrymandering. Worry about getting the vote out. Don't worry about gerrymandering. Getting the vote out will make gerrymandering make them fall on their face with gerrymandering. Because what they're going to do is allow the overperformance of Democrats in many red states. And on purple states, they may prematurely turn that purple state blue. Mark my word. But again, this only happens if all of us do our jobs and go out there and get people to vote. That's what it's going to take. Get people to vote. So let's be clear here, folks. It's not a slam dunk. I have one more video to show you, and then we'll kind of close this baby up. So let's go with that video, and then we'll take it on the other side. It is great to see a senator, specifically a Democratic senator, not equivocate at all when asked about the president's actions both in the Caribbean off the coast of Venezuela, as well as off the coast of Colombia on the Pacific side, by blowing up ships in presumably international waters. I want you to listen to Senator Gallegos, because I think he's quite plain. Something that many other Democrats try to hedge, he came straight out and said it. Check this out.
The military now launching 10 attacks against what they have described as suspected drug boats. This is happening largely in the Caribbean. They've killed more than 40 people so far. President Trump saying he may even order land strikes into Venezuela with or without congressional approval. He was asked about it this week. Take a listen.
I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war. I think we're just going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country. Okay? We're going to kill them. You know, they're going to be like dead.
The Trump administration insists these strikes are consistent with international law. Do you agree with that?
No, it's murder. It's very simple. If this president feels that they're doing something illegally, then he should be using the Coast Guard. If there's an act of war, then you use our military, and then you come and talk to us first. But this is murder. It's sanctioned murder that he is doing that. And it's very simple for someone like him to talk about killing people or doing something in the name of war. He's never actually served. He's never actually pulled a trigger. And it's very dangerous what he's doing, both to our international relations, to our friends down in South America, and to these men and women that have to make these calls for a president who has zero understanding about the responsibility someone has when it comes to having to make life and death decisions. It's disgusting what he's doing.
Let's be clear here. What Donald Trump is doing is against every international law out there. I mean, in fact, under the tenets of what Donald Trump is doing, Mexico could go ahead and say, as these arms are destined to our drug cartel in Mexico, we are going to preemptively go into international waters if the shipments are coming by sea or going just over the border in the United States and blowing up trucks bringing those arms into Mexico. What would the United States do under that condition? I am pretty sure the United States would scream sovereignty and likely invade that country. Yet we feel the right to go thousands of miles to the south under the pretext that these particular countries or these people in these countries deserve to die without a court of law or determining if they're in fact guilty for sending drugs to the United States. But I want to take it a bit further, because it seemed to me like the problem isn't in South America. The problem isn't with the drug cartels. The problem is at home. We always speak about personal responsibility. If there is no demand for these drugs that are coming into this country, no amount of supply would satisfy the lack of demand. Whatever happened to personal responsibility? Whatever happened to saying, you know what? We need to do the work here at home to make sure that life is good enough for our people, that they don't feel they have to quench their emotions, quench their pain in drugs. This has very little to do with the drug cartels. The drug cartels are fulfilling an American need, a need to quench the pain of existence with drugs. Maybe if we tackle that the way other countries have in making their people happier, maybe instead of bombing and killing and maiming, we could actually do good by saying, let's make life so good in America that no one needs to have the need to cover the pain, to smother the pain with drugs. And that's a fact, right? America likes to talk about personal responsibility, but they don't take responsibility for what they do. Eric says accountability to the countries that don't do their own law and order. What? Countries are sovereign. You don't go into a country. You take care of law and order in your country. As long as that other country isn't doing anything to country number two, that's not their problem. if you have rogue people bringing drugs into your country, then interdict that drug when it comes to you. But don't try to go into that country and say, oh, that's what they're doing, because we manufacture a lot of things that other countries find illegal. And those other countries are not coming to the United States to bomb. We're not bombing when nobody's bombing us when we send them illegal arms. Nobody's bombing when we sell them illegal bombs. Nobody's bombing when we send them drugs that are illegal in that country, but we send anyway, aka ALR. So I mean, we can talk over and over and over again. Personal responsibility is something that they preach all the time. Patrick Magner says if a sovereign nation decides to legalize a drug and produce it, they have that right. They sure do. And if the United States doesn't want to do drugs, control your own people. Make sure that make sure they're happy enough. Make sure that your people don't have the demand for drugs. These guys are just capitalists. Manuel Antonio Noriega, our Panamanian dictator that Bush killed 10,000 Panamanians for, he was nothing more than a capitalist. America has had a demand, and he fulfilled the supply. There you go. I mean, it is not difficult to ascertain that reality. Welcome aboard, Harry Denson from Missouri City, Texas. Thank you for being here. So again, that is what we need to really talk about, folks. That is what we really need to talk about. Don't be fooled by all the crap these guys talk about. Please don't be fooled. Again, because we are only fooling ourselves. We're only fooling ourselves. Anyway, I can take one more quick call, 281-823-7747. If somebody wants to call real quick and say something, and then I'll shut her down. 281-823-7747. I don't have any other subject to discuss. Other than to do my ask. 281-823-7747. Lo voy a repetir una vez más en español. Es el 281-823-7747. Si me quieres también hablar en español, podemos hacer eso. Digamos que tiene problema con la migra, lo podemos hablar. Si quieres hablar de lo que sea, podemos hablar. All right. So, one more time, I'll give that number, and that is 281-823-7747. Now, again, folks, don't be fooled. We need to start understanding and learning our place. Earlier, Brother Ray Brackens, talk to me.
Yeah, I was just calling in to basically reiterate, I am kind of looking forward to seeing how this whole gerrymandering thing is going to work because, like I said, I think in another conversation, one thing that's interesting about Texas is you can't predict the voter base because all Texans, no matter what their preferred party is, all Texans are registered independent. And you only can go by predictive voting habits.
Yeah, continue, Ray. Yeah, you're here.
Yeah, so you can only go by predictive voting patterns. And that's going to screw them eventually if people actually start coming out to vote because we have every cycle, we have at least about 1 million voters that don't turn out. And if half of those voters actually come out and, turn out for the Democrats, that's going to change the whole electorate. Honestly, I think Al Green should probably try to go for his number 9 district again. But we'll see how that works out.
I don't think he's going to, but I think he should. But let me tell you something. I think they're going to be in for a big surprise, and then they're going to call foul when they screw themselves. But I only have another minute, and Harry's on the line as well. So thank you very much for the call, Brother Ray. Harry, come on in.
Okay. Hello, Brother Ray. Hello, Alberto. Well, I just hope that things go well with this the election this year and next year, and the Democrats take the Senate and the House of Representatives back because this president is out of control. I wanted to mention two other things. One, that interview you did on the attitude with Arnie Arson, can you play that on one of these shows, either the afternoon or play them on both shows in the morning show?
Let me just
in the coming days. And then the other thing I want to
go ahead real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Well, the other thing I wanted to mention, one more thing about tariffs with this protectionism. That you didn't mention it, but I know you understand it. The only people who win in these tariff protectionist economic wars are Donald Trump's rich, wealthy friends that own lots of index stocks on Wall Street. As Johnny's always saying,
I gotta go.
Criminals on Wall Street.
You're correct. You're correct, Harry, but I gotta go. But folks, Harry's correct. And as far as I was on the attitude with Arnie Arneson on Friday. I think KPFT is going to play that tomorrow, but I'll go ahead and she sent me the video, so I'll cut that up sometime in the next few days and add that to the repertoire as well. Thank you for that. Anyway, folks, remember that this show, just like many support KPFT at in the mornings, we also need your support here. So please consider becoming paid subscribers of our newsletter. All I'm asking for, and this one is for Politics Done Right. When we go at KPFT, it's only for KPFT. This one is for Politics Done Right. And what I'm asking is for you to support our program as best you can. And the best way to do that is to go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to support the program. And it's very inexpensive. Of course, you can. There are many other ways to support the program as well. But what we ask is the simple one of just saying, "I'll become a paid subscriber of Egberto Off the Record," and by supporting Egberto Off the Record by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, it subsidizes all the work that I do here. And of course, all of you get a chance to read all of my books online all at once. But anyway, got to get out of here. I want to tell you, thank you for being here. Remember, you can write me directly at info@politicsdoneright.com, info@politicsdoneright.com. Sometimes I take a while to answer. I get thousands of emails every single day, and I'm trying to find an AI tool to help me sort these guys out because it's becoming even more difficult. But we'll see. Anyhow, love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.